Okay, hi Gosia, welcome back. I'm tempted to say that you are our regular guest. Not sure if it's good or bad.
That's a good question, actually. I think on the one hand it's very good because I like that people are eager to listen about mental health. On the other hand, it's not good because the mental issues are rising everywhere on the planet. So, yeah.
Yes, like before we get into the questions, I want to ask about your perspective on where is mental health on the global radar or on the Polish radar. I feel that it's not getting out of the radar. Actually, it's becoming stronger and stronger. And I'm sure we will have time to talk about what it really means for us. But what's your view as a consultant, researcher, and supporter?
So I'm sorry to say, but I think it's getting worse. And it's not only about statistics that we see that the mental health is declining, the number of domestic violence are increasing, but I also have this ongoing feedback from my clients that even if they were, implementing mental health ideas and support for employees through the last years, actually it like rocketed when pandemic started. Now they see that there is even more people who are taking sick leaves, and so there are more severe problems. And I said, look, I'm not surprised by that, because when we face something that we call catastrophe of uncertainty, like pandemic, then we face the war, then everyone is afraid of economical crises and what artificial intelligence will do with labor market, and employees are living in this kind of constant chronic stress.
And fear.
And fear. And it itself leads to depression, but also when people are in prolonged, ongoing crisis that is unpredictable, they are in mobilization stage. So they have to mobilize resources to cope with that. But then there's a collapse, because you run on adrenaline and the body stops responding to adrenaline, and then you have severe crisis. So now it's the time when people are demobilizing, so they lose energy, and we see this drop in mental health.
And there are also limits to the resources, internal resources that you have, as you mentioned. Yet I believe that there must be some ways to prevent it, or preventative approaches to mental health crisis. We spoke a lot about being reactive to a problem, to a challenge, to a crisis, yet promoting more of a proactive approach. Would it apply to the mental health sphere?
Of course, in some extent, because some of mental issues are related to genetics, and there will be always existing in society. Yeah? Like we can assume that 10% of people will have illnesses like clinical depression or psychosis or a bipolar disorder. It will be there. Yeah? Like with people who have syndromes related to being neuroatypical, they will always be there. It's not an illness, it's not a syndrome, but they are not very well adapted to current civilization that we created. Yeah, so they will struggle. So some of the issues we cannot prevent, but then we have a lot of data showing that we can build resilience, because resilience actually is based on skills. How you recognize your emotions, how you regulate your emotions, what are your beliefs about the crisis, that you believe that crisis is temporary. Optimism is something that we can learn. So we can learn skills that will prepare us to cope better with regular stress, with chronic stress, with difficult traumatic situations as well. So yes, we can develop some skills. On the other hand, healthy environment, World Health Organization was appealing for years that organizations should protect employees and lower the factors that lead to stress or burnout. So yes, we have tools to do that. And let me finish one more thing to add.
Taking deep breath
because, because this is related to prevention. Also, we know nowadays more and more that somatic health, being fit, spending a lot of time outside, so actually having a healthy body also will impact mental health.
Sleeping well, eating well, but also maintaining healthy social life. It all contributes to how you feel mentally. But are you saying, Gosia, that one of the preventative ways is education? That's one. And one of the preventative ways is procedure or legalizing certain things?
So I think then we would have to define what we want to prevent. If we want to prevent mental syndromes and illnesses, probably we have limited impact on that. But when it comes to prevent people who are in chronic stress and it can lead to mental crises, yes, we can do something. So psychoeducation is important because people can quickly realize that they are collapsing, that they recognize not when they are really in deep problem, but they can recognize first, like, red flags that my mood is dropping, I'm losing energy, I'm getting irritated at people, so maybe I got the feedback from my family. I used to got feedback from my daughters, then they would say,
something is wrong with your mom.
Yeah, something is wrong with you. So not only my own self-awareness, that I can grab this moment that I should do something by myself, heal myself, do something that will rise my mood, activate myself. So that's why we do psychoeducation. Then if people realize that I have a problem, because they have lectures, they read about things, they listen to experts, they have motivation, their own motivation to go and look for support before the problem will get bigger. And also we teach everyone, peers, mates in companies, that they can recognize that someone has a problem and I can approach this person, talk about it, give emotional support and redirect that person to professional support.
And we will talk about the role of leaders, but also peers and mental health ambassadors within the workplace just in a second. But coming back to what you just said about recognizing symptoms, right, which is part of the psychoeducation, I personally find it more and more difficult because when you look around, everybody tends to be stressed, everybody tends to be more anxious. So in a way, it's becoming a norm, an environmental norm. Therefore, it's more difficult for me to, to see the contrast, like, to realize that I'm behaving differently. Do you know what I mean?
I didn't expect that question.
I didn't expect this question
but I think that
ask.
The fact that we are having a faster pace of life, our body is not, adapted to that. But let's say everyone operates like this. I would say that the limit between having a fast life and having problems is when we start to suffer. And suffering may mean that you cannot sleep, that you have poor quality of sleep, that your relationships are declining, that you start to have pains, somatic pains, like many people discover that they have depression because they have lower immunity and they have inflammation, muscle pains, joint pains. So any type of suffering, and it doesn't have to be your suffering, because sometimes people are frozen, dissociated from their bodies, so they don't realize that they have emotions or pains. The link between body and head is just suppressed. But they have feedback from family, like you eat too much sugar, or you are different than usually. So yes, but then it means that family is suffering. They feel they're losing someone, that this person is not the same anymore. So suffering, either your own or environment, family, friends.
Right. I just began to reflect on what you said. I will
ask talk after, if you need some support.
Yes, and I will ask for feedback proactively. Gosia, I know that you have your own philosophy and approach to mental health, and we had these conversations earlier. How do you see the link or the connection between mental health and you call it fluffy well-being, or I call it, fictional well-being? There are a lot of why I'm asking is that a lot of companies introduce their well-being strategies, their well-being programs, and a lot of them also position mental health problems and interventions as part of the broader well-being strategy. What's wrong with that?
I think there's nothing wrong with that, but when we look at the history of well-being programs, basically they offered benefits for employees to make fun for them, like the sports or I don't know, breathing techniques, meditation, relaxation techniques, yoga, or whatsoever. But the problem is that when people are in crisis, they don't have energy to use those benefits because they're already in crisis. They don't have energy to take a shower or to meet with friends. So imagine someone, so imagine someone using multisport. So I thought that this is a very good way to prevent crisis because when you use those benefits, you socialize with people as well. You activate your body, you raise your serotonin and dopamine level. That's fine. I'm not denying. But when people are declining, this is not enough. So that's why we have to step in and learn people how to take care about yourself when you are actually starting to have a crisis.
And where you can no longer rely on your, adaptive mechanisms. We have limits to that. And I fully agree with you. I'm personally not a fan of, fun well-being. I'm rather towards functional well-being. So I've also spent quite some time educating teams and companies how to make this shift from fun to functional. It should serve to people and it should serve organizations. Okay, so when we have clarified this one, we can move on to the role of leaders in influencing the system and really impacting mental health of their teams. What's
now when you
what's
ask
your
this
view?
question, I thought, okay, let's revenge.
Revenge.
So you know that there is research showing that the relationship with your supervisor is sometimes as much impactful as your intimate relationship. So if we have a toxic, let's use that word, toxic managers who might gaslight people.
Yes, I wanted. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's clarify that. What makes manager toxic? Mean what are the specific toxic behaviors?
That's a good question, and I think that we can divide it into first, people who are antisocial. So there is this personality disorder that we call antisocial, or sometimes people who may have narcissistic personality disorder. They sort of use people to build up their own self-esteem, and they need to feel that other people feel weak, dependent, and there are lower on qualifications and also self-confidence, because that builds up their own self-confidence. They use other people. Actually, in antisocial people, there is a kind of a joy and satisfaction when someone is suffering because of me. So I would think that's the one definition of being a toxic person generally. But on the other hand,
number one contributor to the crisis, mental health crisis. Toxic
no, I
leader.
wouldn't say that it's the top factor. But because I don't think that there is many people like this. Let's be honest. When it comes to personality disorders of this type, it will be few percent. And not. Some of those people are already in jails, or maybe even they are firefighters, police officers, so maybe not in corporate as managers.
That's good news.
But on the other hand, when I think toxic, I mean that there is a manager who doesn't choose the tools that are according to the profile of my employee. So this situational leadership. There are people have different personalities. They have different neurosystems, temperaments. They are on different levels of expertise, and I think that toxicity means that I don't treat it seriously, and I treat everyone the same way. So then when there is a new joiner and I expect a lot from this person, and this person struggles because this is too challenging, that would be toxic. But also when I have a top experts that want to be autonomous and have space for their own creativity and impact, but I suppress their initiative, this is also toxic. So I would say that the leader that doesn't follow the real needs of employees.
But if we were to summarize this part, what is in fact the responsibility of a leader in mental health? Supporting mental health.
So
Or
yes,
what
because
is it?
we just swapped into thinking about, okay, what's the responsibility of leader when it comes to mental health? So first they can be, and they have a huge impact on how people feel at work. But on the other hand, I've mentioned that there are biological factors, pace of life, civilization, and etc. So we cannot avoid those factors. But at the end, the responsibility of the leader when someone is going through crisis is to make a kind of a soft zone. I call it an emergency pillow for an employee who is going through, I don't know, depression or a difficult divorce, or is a caregiver of a patient at home, whatever, and they are in chronic stress. And the role of the leader is to create a kind of a safe period of time for this person, so they know that because of the crisis they will not lose the job. And when I ask people what actually you expect from your leaders when you go through mental crisis, that they will know about it. So why? Because then they understand why I'm like this, why I'm not in the mood, why I'm not joking with people, why I'm not that proactive, why I deliver less. So they are more patient with me for some time. So they expect leaders to be understanding.
But
And
that
then-
also, Gosia, that also, if I was in this position, I would need to have just simply trust to my leader. If I'm about to disclose
Yeah.
my true self,
Yeah.
my mental health challenges, I need to trust my leader.
Yeah. So, there are situations that whether you trust or not, you will share. If you have a funeral in your family, or if your child is in hospital, you trust or not, you will tell it, yeah, because you need time off, yeah, and then it depends on relationship how much people share. But the minimum that I have mental issues, yeah, I have depression, and it means that I cannot focus in the morning, yeah. So this is like basic information. You don't have to dive in details. Why do you have depression? Yeah, but this is kind of
observable
minimum,
behavior.
yeah. But yes, what you mentioned is that there are a lot of people who are afraid to admit they are having problems because they're afraid they will be fired, and it must be really settled in the policy of company, what we actually, how we react, how we support. And that's there's a lot of time that most of companies are giving to employees in crises, and it's not 3 months. Usually it's even up to 2 years before they have improvement plans and there is a severe decision to fire someone. Yeah. So actually in most of companies that I work with, there's a lot of space for people to actually cope with a crisis.
Okay. And to be fair and to be inclusive, I think we cannot exclude the other elements of the system, and that is peers and mental health ambassadors. So if we could spend 1 minute on really explaining what's their role in influencing mental health or mental health support.
So I think that from efficiency perspective, more important is peer-to-peer support. Because when we work on everyday basis with people and other people are trained to recognize the crisis, they see you, they can approach you.
They know you.
They know you. They know day by day that your behavior is changing. Yeah, like you will wear the same clothes a few days in a row. They will notice that. Yeah, so that's the role of peer support. That I'm also attentive to your changes, and I'm not afraid to talk with you. So in my opinion, it's better to prepare everyone, and also to teach people how to run supportive conversations, because many people say, don't worry, you shouldn't cry about it, it's not a big deal.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah, you look so strong, Basia, you are such a strong woman. I don't think you have any crisis in your life. Yeah, so
I heard it many times.
so sometimes people are saying those things because they want to console someone quickly and etc. So actually we need it as a basic skill to teach people, adults, but also I think kids in school, how to be supportive. But on the other hand, you've mentioned mental health ambassadors. And I'm not very convinced about that role in companies, because then you have to really be watchful who becomes ambassador, because sometimes people who want to join this kind of program, they are kind of nosy. They're just interested in people's problems, and they know that, okay, I have a badge of ambassador, so I will know people private stuff. Second, they are rescuers. They like to save people. And this is like a warning signal, because you have to know your limits, that this is only work and you are here to listen to someone and then redirect this person to an expert, to professionals, not to take all the support on yourself. So when people are in this rescue mode, I will save everyone. This is red flag, and they can pose danger on themselves as well. So, and the other hand, sometimes it happens that ambassadors are also HR business partners, or managers wants to become ambassadors. And I said, okay, this is a conflict of a role, because you will know so much about this person, and then you will have to manage this person, give them feedback. Sometimes it will not be nice feedback, but you will have in the back of your head that this person has personal issues. It will be impossible to manage this person. So this is very complex, and organizations should take into account all the risk related to ambassadors.
Interesting. I don't think I ever heard it from anyone, actually, I agree to what you said. It's just often too risky.
Yeah, it's too risky, and also I think that Polish are not prepared to have ambassadors at work.
Yeah,
that I will go to random person to share my private life. Most of people will just choose the person that you sit around the desk and you talk about your private things with that person. Not like, let's scroll me in the system who has the badge of ambassador, so I will talk with this person. Yeah, so I think it's for now it might be superficial.
And I think a lot of people are unofficial ambassadors in that sense.
Yeah.
Gosia, to sum up and to really close our conversation, I'm curious to learn how we can make all these efforts made in the area of mental health, one, sustainable, but secondly, inclusive. And I think that's something that we really should demand from organizations at this stage. We've made such a progress. How to make sure that mental health support is available to everyone, regardless of the location, regardless of the role, how to make it truly inclusive?
Let me think about it. So for sure, the how we reach people with this information is important. And this is difficult because, when you have a lot of spam in your email, you can just not know that something is offered. Second thing, I see that the very important chain in that system is manager. And when I train managers sometimes from the companies that do have employee assistance programs or online platforms that you mentioned, for everyone. Yeah, if something is online, it's available for everyone. Like we have our mental health helpline platform. But sometimes I see that in those organizations, when they do have this benefit, even managers don't know about it. And then that's the first step. And the second step is that they don't know if they can just tell to employee, we have the psychological support paid. Because it's like crossing limits. And I said, look, this is paid by the company. It's a benefit, like a gym. Just remind them that, this is paid. You can use that, yeah? So I think that, again, in the system, managers may be very important source of information for employees.
Okay. Very intriguing conversation, very interesting. I haven't exhausted all the questions. We have come up with new ones, and I think that's organic, that's good. You need to promise me that you will stay with us, Gosia, till the end, and I will catch you and continue our talk.
Sure.
Thank you so much for your voice and everything you do on the subject of support.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the interviews.
Thank you.